Good morning. It's Miss Lady T. Sorry, blowing you a kiss. And some dirt on my phone. Confirmation. Anyway, I got confirmation. Like I was saying, I got the most beautiful story and a kind of a weird story, but they do coincide together. And I know I get on here and sometimes I talk about stuff that's going on and stuff, but please let me keep it together. Okay. Last night was some strange. It started in the beginning of the shift, and there was this man that came up, dark complected, not much taller than me, short man. Had a black face mask on, like like the COVID mask or whatever. And he comes up and he goes, "Hey, Tanya," and I'm just like, and I had my name tag was on, of course. We're supposed to wear our name tags. Not everybody does, but I do. And I found a sticker too last night. It was sticking on a bottle of soap and it said game day. And so I stuck the sticker on my name tag. It's a heart and it says game day. It's like, definitely game day. I didn't know what the night had in store for me or the morning. I'm just like, wow. There's reasons why God put you where you're at. Confirmation. And maybe you don't want to be there. Maybe you're sick of it. Maybe you're tired of people and some of the things they say to you and do to you. But there is a divine reason why you are in some situations, so God can show you things. And I am all smiles. This story starts out kind of weird, kind of creepy, and then this morning when I'm checking out, amazing. I had to cry in the car. I mean, just tears of joy and thankfulness. Let me get through this, please. So last night, starting to the shift, and the store stays open about an hour. That's it. About 2 hours after we start working. So the store's still open. So there's still customers, as we're stocking shelves, there's still customers coming in and shopping. Not very many at that time of night. This man comes in, dark complected, about my height, slim build. Kind of dressed, kind of bummy, kind of looking, or whatever. And I was standing in an aisle, and there was one of my coworkers was stocking the shelf. Strangely enough, the same name as one of my ex-husbands. Maybe keeping an eye on me, I don't know. Nice man, though. Always willing to help. Hey, Tanya, hey. Anyway, this customer comes up and he goes, I need some help. Tanya? Is that your name? Tanya? I'm like, yeah, my name's Tanya. And my co-worker was in the same aisle. It was just me and him and then this customer. And I'm glad I stopped because this guy was kind of creepy. Kind of gave me a creep factor. He's just like, yeah, I wonder if you guys could help me. I stood there. I'm like, sure. What can we help you, with? He said, yeah, you can help me with a hole in the head. Just negative as shit. Where it's like, and my coworker's like, sorry, man, we can't help you with that. Because we all got problems, which is true, right? Be cool if we could say we all got solutions too, right? Maybe some of us do. Anyway, guy's like, yeah, he's kind of agitated. But, yeah, he never really got to the point, I just got problems. It sounded like he wanted to talk more than he wasn't really looking for anything. I think he ended up asking my coworker for 50 cents or something, asking for money, and I don't think he got it. I don't know, I don't remember. But, after he said that, we're just like, I don't know, man. And then my group leader came by, and I'm just looking at him and looking at this dude, and I'm like, kind of shady, And the guy reaches in his pocket, right? And he's like, yeah, I don't know, just got problems. Reaches in his pocket, and he drops this class ring. It was a red ruby-looking class ring. Ring. And I've been getting like the marriage vibe thing lately again, being engaged. I was watching some TV shows this morning. The guy was picking out, getting an engagement ring made for his future wife. Oh, wow. He said it's going to cost around $7,000. Confirmation. 7 is very significant. And I will make a post. I did look 7 up because I know it's very spiritual, the number 7. It coincides of divine alignment and spirituality, and where spirituality and human existence can coincide together. But I'll post it. I don't think I can read it when I make it a video, but I screenshotted it and I'm going to post it here in a minute. But the guy's digging in his pocket and he drops out this ring. It's like ting, ting, ting. And enough to look at it. It was kind of a class ring and it was red. Red for love. Not this guy. But maybe. Not this guy. But who my divine spouse is, I believe he's trying to show me that he's around. And I've met this person. Started having feelings for this person, oddly enough. Just really didn't know him a couple months. But I leave. This bud's for you. Not about the beer, the bud. Buddy. He was kind of my buddy. You know, work buddy. But he quit abruptly. And nothing came of it. Never talked to him again. Never looked him up. Just you know. Okay. You know, anyway, back to my story. This guy drops out this class ring. A ruby class ring. Drops it on the floor. About that time, I'm just like, he's like, I can't help you. And he kind of hung around for a minute. And I went back to work. Didn't think much of it after that. Kind of heard him talking to the dude in the next aisle. And you got 50 cents? And he's like, no, man, I ain't got no money. Okay. Figuring that was all that was, you know. Well, break came around. Got on break. The store's been closed for almost an hour at this point. And one of my coworkers that I believe is my, you know, part of my sister that passed in February. Her name's Brenda, same age, smokes, talks like her, acts like her, the whole 9. And we could have been closer when my sister passed, but anyway, this girl comes in from her cigarette break. She's like, man, she goes, let me know. She goes, but I think there's a guy outside laying on the sidewalk. She goes, I really couldn't tell because it was far away. And me and 3 other guys go out for smoke break. It was just me and some 3 guys and confirmation. And yeah, sometimes they bum a cigarette from me. Whatever, no big deal. Spuds for you. That's funny shit. Anyway, there was a guy definitely laying on the sidewalk, and it was our friend, our little friend with the class ring friend. And our breaks are 15 minutes long. I sit in my usually spot. The guy kind of walking up. Before you know it, he was right up on us. And he knocks over the cigarette butt container, one of those cigarette butt snuffers. Got the tall neck on it or whatever. He knocks the top of it over. Tall, so everybody's kind of looking. We're not talking much because this guy's right there. Yeah. He's like, I gotta get me some cigarettes. He goes, oh, there's a lot in here. He goes, cool. He goes, man, he didn't really look at me, but I know he's talking to me because I was the only one that's smoking, you know. He's like, how about I take a quarter of it and you take the other? Or I'll take half and you take the other half. And I'm like, dude, I'm good. How about you can have the whole thing? How about that? I didn't say you could have the whole thing. I'm just like, no, dude, I'm good. But I've seen people do that who's, you know, down on their luck looking for cigarette butts to smoke. I get it. I've been there. I've been there before. Fighting the urge, and it's hard when you want a cigarette. Confirmation. And he digging in his pockets again. He's like, oh, you know, these cigarettes will do me a long time. You know, I got dip in my pocket, but, you know, these cigarettes will do me good. Okay. And we're all just kind of looking because he's hanging out after store hours, kind of shady, really shady looking, especially laying out on the sidewalk, dragging a red bucket. Thought it was like an igloo container, but it was a red bucket. And he left all his stuff out in the parking lot and just walked up, trying to get cigarette butts out of this cigarette snuffer container. I'll take half. I said, sir, you can have the whole thing. Okay. So he's digging. You got a bag? No, we ain't got a bag. He gets out to his little pile of stuff on the sidewalk. Confirmation. Gets a bag, and I guess he's putting cigarette butts in there. You know. Leaves it, the container, you know, unattached to itself. Bucket sitting there and didn't put it back. He dug in his pocket again. He's like, yeah, I'm going to get with my mechanic in the morning. I'm going to bust his windows out. And it's like, what the hell? Very agitated this man was. But then again, very creepy, asking, you know, you got a light? I didn't give him a cigarette, but yeah, I got a light, dude. Here you go. Thanks. Digs in the pocket again. Out comes the ruby red class ring again. And this might be hard to follow, but I follow it very well because I lived it. But the class ring is very significant because there was a man. I was married at 17, and I met this man when I was probably 18, 19 years old. And he was in church, and I was married, to a preacher. And we never, you know, shook hands. How are you, brother such and such? Good. How are you, Sister Tanya? Very good. Shake hands and stuff. Went into my church off and on. But I was just fascinated. I used to watch him play. You know, he played the drums, he played the bass, he could play any instrument. And I'm kind of like that too. I can kind of pick up stuff and start playing it, you know. And I would watch him play music. But somehow, I guess I got some feelings for him a little bit. But mind you, I'm married, but very young. Not sure what I'm feeling, but I know I liked being where he was at. We never really talked. I just shook hands, said, how are you? How are you? And I'd watch him play his music. And he was in his family was in a group. They had a little Christian singing group. Something happened. And I knew this man about a year. Nothing happened between me and him or nothing. Just liked him. He was a nice guy, my age, maybe a year or two younger. And there was a tragedy that he got in a car accident. And I believe it was a sacrifice. I believe it was a car accident, but I don't think it was just a random deer jumped out in front of him and he got killed in a car accident, and that was it. That was what I was told. Broke my heart. Broke my heart. And my husband's probably like, what the hell? You're crying over this dude that you don't even talk to or know or ever went out with. It bothered me. It really bothered me that this guy had gotten this accident and gotten, you know, took out of this life way, way too early. He was just out of high school. I don't even know if he had graduated yet. But yeah, I was probably about 3 years older than him. I'd already graduated and been married maybe a year or so. I don't know. Not very long. But I believe in reincarnation. And I know some people may not believe in that kind of thing. But I believe that sometimes we remember where we came from, sometimes we don't. And there's little blips of stuff that I remember about different things and different lives, but not enough to be like, that was me back in the day, or that was me back in that day, whatever. But the man that I used to work with, he had that spirit about him. He had that same spirit. Nice, sweet, good smile. And I just felt a connection to him. Like I said, nothing ever happened, nothing ever come of it. And I'm single, so I mean, I didn't even know if he was single, married, he didn't wear a ring or nothing, but that don't mean anything. There's a lot of guys and women that don't wear rings. But never asked him, never got that far. I only worked with him maybe 2 months at the most. And then he just up and quit, and nobody seen him again. That was it. So anyway, I got to thinking, the ring is very significant. Maybe as not so much an engagement, but maybe going back to the point where confirmation. This is cool. The universe is talking this morning. At this class ring, and I'm like, oh, you want to be my boyfriend? And I know people's heard of shapeshifters and different stuff. And this guy was creepy, nice guy, but just kind of creepy, kind of off, and might have been a little bit on something. I don't know, kind of off balance a little bit. And he gave him my lighter to use. You know, he kind of stumbled a little bit. Still weird nonetheless. But the red class ring, he kept dropping on the floor, and it was twice he dropped it on the floor. And I'm just like, just a mental note. Ruby. Red signifies love, I believe. But he kept dropping this ring. He dropped it once in the store and once outside. But it was a class ring. Like to signify back in the day, if I would have been single and this person would have been single, we probably would have dated. He'd have been my boyfriend, and then back then we wore each other's, wore class rings. We'd tie yarn around the ring, and we'd wear our boyfriend's class rings, and the guy would wear the girl's class ring, like on their pinky or on their neck, that kind of thing. I thought that was sweet, and I was like, maybe this dude from my past, from my teenage years, has come back in a different life. And mind you, it's been about, oh gosh, let's say 20, 30, 40, 30 some years later. Probably 30 years later. And there was an age difference between the man that I worked with. Not 30 years. But I was thinking, I'm like, it was probably about 30 some years since this guy had passed. And then I believe I've been encountered twice by this person, and with the ruby class ring. Just something significant. But this guy did give off heavy creep vibes, and I think when we went back in, the group leader had called the cops, and there was like 3 cruisers there, and I guess they took him where he needed to go, or told him he couldn't hang around there or sleep on the sidewalk, that kind of thing. So that was like the first incident, and I thought that was kind of weird, but I kept thinking of the class ring he kept dropping on the ground. And how he kept saying, oh, your name's Tanya. Kept looking at my name tag. And I'm just like, yeah, it was kind of freaky because people, hey, Tanya. And it's like, who are you? And I got my name badge on because I'm at work. And that was the first little story, but it does coincide with the second story. In the second part of the story, let me keep it together. Oh, it's such a beautiful thing. And a lot of times when I get off work, I'll do my grocery shopping in the morning. Get something for the next couple of days, until I get back to work. And as I'm walking through produce, which I don't usually ever go through produce, I thought about getting a salad, and then there's been this salad thing, different stuff going on with the salad. And I'm like, yeah, maybe not a salad. So I just walked through the produce, and I went by the flower shop. And they sell balloons and flowers and little gift baskets and stuff. And there was this customer there, and I see my store manager and one of the assistant managers back behind the counter, blowing up a balloon with number 7. Well, of course, it's a birthday party, I'm sure. The woman's getting, a balloon for her son. It was a boy. And I just thought, oh, number 7. I said, that's very significant, number 7 is. And just to refresh my memory, I just asked, Jim and I, I'm like, what's the spiritual significance of number 7, Talk about divine spirituality and being in alignment and things, and I'll post that paragraph when I get done here. I wish I could read it because it was cool. It was pretty neat. It's passed. I thought that was cool. Well, cool. She's getting a birthday balloon, but that was cool. And it was early. It was like 6:15. It was the store just opened in the morning, this morning or whatever. And the flower person wasn't there yet, so the store manager and the assistant manager was getting things together for her. So I went to go check out. I was ready, and the woman that was getting the balloon was checking out behind me. And she's like, and I turned around, slowed and, scanning my large items and putting my bags in my cart. She's like, oh. She goes, my mom's named Tanya. I'm like, oh, really? She goes, and I've never seen it spelled that way. She goes, it's spelled exactly the way, Tonya. She goes, it's spelled exactly the way that she spelled it. I said, she goes, but my mom passed. And that might be significant also. I never realized that. She goes, my mom passed and never got to see my son turn 7. And today is my son's birthday. And I told her, I'm just like, oh. She goes, I believe you came back to wish my son a happy birthday. Well, wish, her and getting the balloon. And I said, hope your son has a very happy birthday. She said, thank you. And when she said my name, and she said that was her mom's name and that she had passed. And I was just like, she goes, you're her. She goes, I believe we come back. And this is the first time I ever really had a spiritual talk with somebody, like a customer, talking about past lives and stuff. Very short, brief conversation. But she's like, I believe you're her. And you come back to tell my son happy birthday. I was like, oh. She goes, I believe in it. I said, oh, I believe in it too. And I told her the story about, my sister and the girl 2 months later I worked with, same name, same age, smoke cigarettes, the same thing, get along together, we laugh, cut up, just like me and my sister used to do. But I thought that was cool. She goes, I believe you came back to confirmation. Confirmation. Can't. Hi, Diesel. Hi, Brina. How are you? Look at all the birds. How pretty. Oh, yay. But I got in the car and I thought about it for a minute. I have 2 boys, and I would have had a 3rd child. I got pregnant, and it was probably in my 7. I was probably 32, 33, 30, probably 30 years old. And I was pregnant, and ended up not having this child. And I believed, and I'd already named this child. I believed it was a girl. But it was the most horrible pregnancy. I wasn't pregnant very long, but I was sick. I was deathly ill. I tried to be, just something wasn't right. Something wasn't right. And didn't have the baby. And I always thought it would have been a girl. Well, when I seen this woman, and she said that her mom's name was Tanya, spelled the same way, and she didn't say what her mom passed from. And I got to download that if I would have had this child, that I wouldn't be here now. For one reason or another, through childbirth or through circumstances or situations, I wouldn't be here right now talking to you. And that God let me see my daughter that I was supposed to have, and see her on her son's 7th birthday. And I know it sounds weird, maybe, unless you're living it, I guess. But I thought that was the sweetest thing. And I got to thinking, I'm like, oh, is that the daughter I never had? And she has a son. And I got to see her and talk about my son's 7th, her son's 7th birthday, which would have been my grandkid if I, would have had this, well, I wouldn't have been around. She said her mom passed. God, look at all the birds. Wow. Spirit's definitely here. But I thought, how cool. And I cried in the car a couple tears, and I'm like, thank you for letting me see the daughter I never had, and the grandson I never would have met, because something happened to me where I wasn't on this earth anymore. But I got to thinking about divine timing and how things work out, and how tragedies can turn into things that will come to good. I don't think you caught that, but there was probably about 20 birds that just flew across my yard. That was cool. And I'm being attacked right now. My hand's itching. Turn to sender any spell of greed or bad energy. Turn to sender to full of love and light in Jesus' name. Amen. This lady just walked past here and she was staring me down, and now I can see it or not. Yeah, it's coming up. See my wrist on the side? Yeah. It happens. People shoot spell work at you and you don't even think that they're just looking at you to be looking, but they're saying shit in their head that ill will or bad things. Because I'm talking about God and blessings. That's why. I'm still going to talk about it. Confirmation bird. But I thought that I call it the story of the name tag. The name tag story. And how most people they bitch because they don't want to wear the name tag and they don't want people knowing their name. Well, I'm glad I wore my name tag today, because the woman would have never known that I had the same name as her mom, spelled the same way, and that her mom passed. And then I told her the story of my sister. She goes, that's right. She goes, she came back. I said, yes, she did. I said, she may not remember it. The person that I talk to at work now, she may not know it. But she goes, she came back. And she goes, and you came back to wish my son a happy birthday, being her mom. And I'm just like, oh, God, that's so sweet. Anyway, sorry. I was trying to get through this without crying. But just tell God you love him today, and that you're thankful for all the blessings. Even though you could be more blessed, but you could be worse, worse off, a lot worse off. So I'm blessed. My house, having food, and me being full, and my cats being full, and me being healthy, and having a job, and meeting these people in my life that really show me how God works in mysterious ways and how the universe will show you things that's coming up that's good, and can show you things that's coming up that's bad too. And I know I've been talking about like the neighbors that minus all that. This is a blessing. This is something I was shown today, and I'm very thankful, and I wanted to get on here and talk about it. I'm sorry if it was a little lengthy, but I thought that was the coolest little night I've ever had. I'm like, thank you, God, for a wonderful evening. Work was light. It was good. People were pretty nice. No problems. But just a good evening, but a good night at work, and a good little story that came to pass this morning, and the weirdo night, the weirdo guy dropping his class ring, the woman with the mom who passed away, who has the 7-year-old birthday balloon, big balloon 7. It was gold. It was gold. I just remembered that shit too. Sorry, I don't mean to cuss, but sometimes it happens. And I just started wearing some gold jewelry a couple days ago. I don't have it on now. But I just want to get on here and talk about it. Anyway, Miss Lady T. Like, share, subscribe. Have a wonderful Wednesday. I believe it's July 29th, I believe. Look at all the birds over here. They're all lined up, just... They're talking about you. Karmics and people that do not believe in the Most High and blessings and miracles, they don't want you to talk about any kind of miracles, any kind of blessings, any kind of just thankfulness that you have, because they don't want you to be thankful for anything. They want you to be mean and hateful and want bad to happen to people, and that sucks. Anyway, Miss Lady T, like, share, subscribe. Have a wonderful day. Bye.